Are you or someone you know looking to buy or sell a home? When you use a HomeGain Realtor to buy or sell a home, you can get $150. Visit HomeGain.com and click on the Promo 150 banner at the top of the page to get started. Compare HomeGain Realtors and choose your favorite. Complete your home purchase or sale transaction with a HomeGain Realtor, and HomeGain will pay you $150. Get started today by going to HomeGain.com. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio. I'm your host, Ryan Soper, joined by my guest, Louis Cammarosano, the general manager of HomeGain. Quick reminder that Real Estate Radio is designed to build the Washington, D.C. Metro's housing and credit markets one house at a time. If you ever have any questions, concerns, or real estate needs, the best number to reach out to us at the off-air line number is 877-245-2030. That's 877-245-2030. Or reach us via the web at realestateradio.dcmetro.com. So a couple of weeks ago, I went into 5 of the first 10 credit myths that are out there, and today I wanted to go, through number 6 through 10. Number 6 being that maxing out my credit card and paying it off will help my score and will let the creditors raise my credit limits. This is absolutely not true. That basically is showing the creditors that you are willing to run up your debt to the max, and they don't like that. I actually tell people to never let their balances go further than 30% of what their high credit limit is. That is about 30% of your score is the proportions of balances to high credit limits. A lot of people think, hey, well, as long as I'm paying that off, that looks good, and they're going to want to raise up the limits. Well, if you're paying it off in full anyway, they're not making any money off of you. They're not making any interest. So if that's not happening, then they're not going to be too thrilled about you, maxing out your card and then paying it off in full. It just doesn't work like that. So, the best thing that I can tell you to do is to keep those balances to 30% of your high credit limit. It's definitely going to help your credit score, and also it's going to show the banks that you really know how to manage your money.
Are you saying not to pay it off in full?
No, I'm not advocating not paying it off in full. I'm just saying if you're going to spend money and pay it off, I'm just saying if your credit limit's $10,000, don't run it up to $9,500 and then pay off $9,500.
But it's okay to run it up to
$3,000
and then
pay it
off?
off. Yes.
They don't care if you're paying interest, do they?
No, and typically they're not really discriminating against whether you're paying interest or not paying interest. It's just the proportion of balances.
Got it.
And you know what I mean? And it really is. I mean, it's such a huge chunk of the credit score. I mean, 30+%. And if you're constantly every month running it up to the limit and then paying it off. Now, I will say that it's very good if you have cash rewards. With Chase or Discover, it's paying like 2% cash back, and if you're utilizing credit properly, I will tell you that to take advantage of this, and because you're able to get the rewards. I'm just saying to maximize your credit score, it's not going to be the best if you do that. But as far as financially, getting the benefit of it, it does help. Credit myth number 7: paying off loans will increase my credit score. That is absolutely wrong. It will not help your credit score if you pay your loans off early. I know this seems crazy, and I'm not advocating that people don't try to pay their loans off, because I think they should. But the banks basically want to keep you as credit slaves. And if you open up an auto loan and it's only revolving for 24 months, and then all of a sudden it's paid off, within the first 6 or 7 months because you decided to prepay that loan, they don't like that. It closes the accounts. It doesn't keep revolving anymore, so it's then no longer revolving. You're not getting credit for that account anymore, so it's actually going to hurt you. And I know this seems crazy, but they at all times want you to have basically 3 credit cards out there, open and working, to obtain the maximum credit score. So don't think that just because you're going to go and cancel a credit card or a loan that all of a sudden your credit score is going to get better. It doesn't work. The best way to get back at the bank actually is to pay it down to 0 and then leave it open, because then the account can continue to revolve.
Means you still have credit.
You still have credit. Exactly. People make the mistake because they get so angry at the bank. They're just like, I'm not ever dealing with Capital One again.
Right.
And I'm just using this as an example. But they get so upset and caught up in the moment that they just say, I'm just going to close and cancel this account. Well, what you don't realize is that hurts your score. That the account's no longer revolving. You don't have open credit. It's hurting you. So before you get mad at the bank next time, just take the flip approach, and they're actually going to be, it's better off for you to get back at them by leaving that account open. Credit myth number 8: paying off collections will increase my credit score. It will not help at all, guys. I know a lot of you think that by paying off collections, it's going to help your credit score. It actually doesn't. What actually happens when you pay it off, it re-ages the account, and a lot of the times it's looked at as a new collection. It's the worst thing possible for credit scores, and it's I mean, I've seen this done by buyers thousands of times where they think that well, Ryan, I paid that collection off. My credit score should have got better. Wrong. It gets worse. So what you actually want to do, and this is a secret, if you are going to pay off a collection, you want to actually negotiate, and you need to get this in writing from the creditor or the bank, that it's called pay per delete letter, where you basically say, if I pay you this amount of money, you will delete this item from my credit report permanently. You can do that. Most people don't know that, Lewis.
Oh,
But you can do that. You can actually, it's a basically pay for deletion letter where you can request them that if you pay X amount of money that they will not report that on your credit report anymore. 9 times out of 10, they will do that, but you have to ask for that specific letter and it has to be in writing. If it's not in writing, it's no good. Um, Number 9, closed accounts will automatically drop off my report once I close it. That's not true either. Closed accounts will stay on there, but they're not going to be rating anymore, and it's just really just a closed account. And so initially it'll ding your credit score a little bit because that you don't have that open credit anymore. I would say that paying off a card, like I said, and then just leaving it open is going to be the best thing to do there. Number 10, bankruptcy will not destroy your credit score. It's actually bankruptcy sometimes is the best tool to use if you're in financial distress. I can't tell you how many people have actually went through bankruptcy, and within a year and a half, they have better credit scores than people that have paid their bills on time for the last 10, 15 years. It doesn't make any sense, really. Lewis, when you think about it, I mean, you figure the fiscally responsible, buyers out there or sellers, whoever you may be, that has paid their bills on time for their whole life, never been late on anything, and their credit score is lower than a guy that went through bankruptcy, wiped out all his debt, and is now, up at 720, 730. It just doesn't make sense that that should be the case.
how many years after?
Well, as far as how long the bankruptcy is going to be on there.
No, but well, let's
Oh,
consider
well, it depends on how quick the person actually reaches out for help. Because if you start working on your credit and rebuilding the credit right at the same time that you're going through the bankruptcy, you can have this cleaned up in a year. Because it's from the time that bankruptcy is filed, the creditors have to stop reporting anything on that credit report after that file date. So that basically clears that up. Then once the bankruptcy's gone through, it wipes out all those debts.
so you're starting fresh.
You're starting fresh. And what I always tell people, Lewis, is because remember in one of the other myths from a couple weeks ago, we talked about that there's not any information that cannot be deleted off the report. If a creditor reports an account after that bankruptcy has been filed, if they report again after that file date, they are in violation of the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which means it's not reported accurately and it's erroneous information that has to be deleted off permanently. Most people, and I think that, there's this thing where everybody thinks that they have to go out and dispute whether they were late or not on an account. And that's actually not the thing to be doing. You actually need to be disputing whether these creditors, these banks, are reporting things according to federal and state laws. And if they're not, they're in direct violation. They need to get it. They need to get right.
And how do you get that right? You don't do that yourself, do you?
Well, like I said, I work with Rondi Lambeth and the Fortress Credit Pros. They specialize in this. Their average time to getting somebody from bad credit to good credit is less than 90 days. They have probably, I would say they're batting at probably about 80% success rate of getting any type of items deleted off a credit report. And once again, you're not disputing whether somebody was late or not. You're disputing whether they were accurate, whether they were, they're getting back the information timely, and whether it's completely verifiable. A lot of the times, Lewis, you'll see collections that were sold from one company to the next. A lot of the times they don't have anything other than just an amount owed and a half of an account number.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's no validity to who actually owns the debt, what the debt was for, and if you can't provide proof of that, it has to be deleted off the credit report. So, and I'm saying this because what I'm really telling you guys out there is that you need to be actually asking for proof on every single negative item on your credit report. You want that validated to make sure that it's accurate and reliable information. If it's
And
not,
if they don't have it, it comes off.
it comes off.
You have to work with somebody to get it off.
Exactly.
You told me last week that trying to do it on your own, your letter goes into a black hole.
They get 60,000 letters a day. Don't do it yourself. Don't do it yourself. Work with a professional that knows how to throw up the red flag on the computer system to make sure that it gets looked at by a human. And typically that's by, stating, Fair Credit Reporting Act Section 2-5-6 says this, and it's a fine of $1,000 per wrong item. I want to thank you guys for listening to Real Estate Radio. We'll be back again next week from 2 to 3 p.m. Thank you, Lewis, for coming on. Really appreciate it. Guys, we'll be back again next week from 2 to 3 p.m. right here on 1580 a.m. The Big Talker. Remember to check out homegain.com today. You're starting your home search there. You can get, pick a realtor and basically have them look at your bios and choose the one that you'd prefer to work with. If you need to get in touch with me, the best number is 877-245-2030. That's 877-245-2030 or via the web at realestateradio.dcmetro.com. Thank you guys for listening to Real Estate Radio. We'll be back again next week. Have a great week.